Hey everybody, welcome back to Ready Steady Play.
Hey guys.
We've just finished playing The Villagers, and we are now going to give our final thoughts. Ollie is the winner of the tournament.
Yay!
The winner of the game.
Very convincing winner as well.
Very convincing winner.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit surprised.
A round of applause for Ollie.
See, genuine hint of sarcasm. Just a hint. I think it's the beer. No, I'm actually impressed with... Because I thought at one point, like, they're going to see I'm getting a lot of solitary guys. They're not going to let me have the priest. And you put him back! I was amazed.
I didn't realise how... But I don't think you had many of that type of card there.
I had about 5 when you put him back.
But linking into that, I think it's...
No,
This is obviously nothing new in the fact that it's a card drafting game, and it reminds
It's a
me
card
of,
drafting tableau building game. This, I think, it's a lot harder to see where all the interworking parts are. Like, for example, I thought that this was quite good, you know? I thought that having the log rafter and some wood getting people going on was quite good. I thought that this stuff here was quite good.
I suppose it is very deceptive, isn't it? Because that looks a lot more better than mine, and we're only 20 points different.
Yeah, in the end of the game, well, you say only 20 points, and that's one of the things I found. I found the score to be very abstract.
We don't know what is good. Like, is 20 points really...
Well, for example, Ollie, you're like, I'm very surprised you didn't take this thing that was key to my combo. But actually, I had no concept of what you were really doing for most of the game, and I don't think Michael did either.
No.
And maybe that's just because we don't know the cards in the game as well as we might if we played it a lot and learned it. But there are a lot of mechanics going on within these cards, and it does create quite a chunky game. But I think it can also result in, if you want to pursue a specific strategy, you can wind up giving a lot of points away if you're single-minded about it without realizing.
Like the priest.
Yeah.
Sure, like the priest. But the other thing was that there's a lot of cards that put down points
require
in
the blacksmith.
10.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got 6 places down on the blacksmith. But it tells you on the cards, right? And the blacksmith has got a 10 on it. Yeah. But my carpenter barely had any stuff on it, and he's got an 8.
I mean, the bed builder was it, but I think that was when I did the special pass.
No, but what I mean is, like, Michael got the carpenter as well, and he didn't have any money on that either.
No.
Yeah, I guess
the shipwright, the cartwright.
Yeah, but the shipwright was because I was paying myself for that.
There's a lot of luck about when those cards come out, because because you obviously acquired the blacksmith like in the opening rounds because he was a card that was on the table, so you must have got him in round 1 or 2.
I think he was the first card I picked up.
And so what I think I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of like sort of obviously really chunky strategy going on here, and a lot of opportunities to kind of make like sort of interesting tableau building style decisions. But I find that a lot of the interactions quite difficult to parse. Well, because do
you think a lot of strategy is dependent on a few cards?
Well, for example, like the carpenter, I grabbed him early doors as well. Like Ollie grabbed his blacksmith early doors, and he was not nearly as productive. And
even though he's got a very similar amount of unlocks, and he gives you an extra build.
But you built your carpenter very early on too. But that should have meant that we wound up with a bunch of money. Like collectively, we should have had 4 or something, or not 4, but I mean, sorry, 4 purchases. So 8 coins.
Did you guys build anything that required the carpenter?
I didn't. I built one.
But I mean, that's the thing is, I built things to give myself money.
Yeah, but so did we. Like, look at all the stuff we've built that requires the blacksmith.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the carpenter. You only built one thing that required the carpenter. So
But maybe it's because the cards didn't come up that require the carpenter.
I don't know. I think there's a few that did, but it's whether or not you use them, and I think that's possibly where we've gone wrong. Yeah. So the Poulter required the carpenter. Okay, I'm getting proved wrong.
There's more discarded blacksmith cards in there than there are carpenter cards. And
I mean, that's weird.
I find that this kind of thing seems like quite a fundamental mechanic, because not only do you earn all this money at the end of the game, there's a bunch of stuff that combos off it. And I sort of found that economy quite difficult to track.
Definitely the shuffle of it helps, because the amount of times, like Michael said, he's just drawn a card and the next one was one he wanted.
But that's the kind of
Yeah.
the kind of thing that happens in
Yeah,
this kind of game.
it's a
really, isn't it?
randomization.
It's just randomization and luck.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, I think maybe part of the key is because we were barely doing any blind drafting. And I feel like maybe if you know the suits really well, you could really benefit from the blind drafting. And the only reason I was honing in on that point about the Carpenter was that kind of sort of earning money off of other cards mechanics and playing cards to trigger your own. Like every time I paid 2 coins away, I really felt that because it meant that I'd sort of messed up the combo in a sense that I was, instead of earning 2 coins, I was paying 2 coins. So I was effectively losing 4.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I also think that these were really important and we really sort of failed to get in on those.
But I think like the reason I couldn't get in on those, well, they're very linked. Very linked. That doesn't make
no,
them.
they're not really
You
at
had the
all.
bank for.
I'd say
3
these 2
or
are
4
more
times.
linked than those 2.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That's what. I
'Cause
think that's what I
Hay
meant
is-
actually.
Hey,
Yeah,
is
Ollie
adding
obviously
benefit to
went
both.
big in on hay,
Yeah.
But then
whereas
this is
the rest of us
But then
didn't.
this is like exponential because. So
Because it
having
gives you a villager
it-
every time you win it, yeah?
Yeah, so you have the most, and then you get another one.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why when you competed with me for it on the first turn, I was like, right, I am getting this.
And it's because I did some, without dwelling on the playthrough too much. There was a turn that I was like, oh no, I've done
Yeah.
something horribly wrong, and I couldn't play things. I had a jeweler in my hand, and I was like, oh, there's a jeweler there, I need it, and I was like, oh, why the hell have I done that?
Because you
So
meant to take the Splunker.
yeah.
Or the Seeker.
Or the Seeker. And so what I did was I effectively knocked myself back a turn, and because of that, I was then always on the back foot because I always had less in my village.
And yet, despite that mistake, your score's not that different to mine, and I don't feel like I made many mistakes. I made a few, but not many big mistakes. And you only lost to me by about 20 points.
Yeah. I got very lucky with these monks as well, I think.
You're a very religious village.
I am.
Well, I quite enjoyed building my tableau, and I quite enjoyed sort of like drafting little bits and building up my tableau. But
I found some cards quite difficult to conceptually use. Like this one I had basically from the start of the game. And I was like, when am I going to be able to build 3, let alone have that happen very often? And to be honest, the Milkmaid, which was one of my last turns, was the first time I got to do it. Mm-hmm. And that I basically was using that as a potential throwaway card. So I was a bit surprised with some of the cards seem to require an inordinate amount of strategy to build up. So like compare that to the Captain, who is the same kind of card, but can go on his own and has a much easier condition. It seems that there's some cards that are a lot more simplistic in how you can use them.
yeah, I mean, the Captain is, I think, just objectively better than the Carter.
Yeah, in every way, shape, and form.
The only difference is that the Carter gives you a hay symbol.
Yeah,
And maybe you have something that rewards you for hay symbols?
I mean,
There might
Yeah, I
be,
mean,
yeah.
you
there
don't.
is, there is something in there.
There'll be
I've seen it.
there'll be a special
Yeah.
solo
Yeah, probably.
round one.
Yeah, there'll be something.
Well,
But-
there's not, because there's an Ormuler who's basically the same, but
Yeah.
for Or.
Yeah, no, I get that. There'll be something. It's just I was surprised how difficult that card
And
was
there's the
to
Log
use.
Rafter as well, who's the same but for logs.
Yeah.
But why is the Log Rafter? Does he reward you more? Well, no and yes. It's easier to score his points, and he's easier to make. Well, no, he's not easier to make, actually. They're the same. But so it's easier to score. But the Log Rafter comes with 2 points on him.
Yeah,
So the Ormuler gives you more, but he doesn't come with any points on him.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, overall, I did like the game. It did take a while for us to sort of get our head around it. I felt like when we were.
I don't know if that's more to do with my explanation.
No, I don't know. I think that there's definitely because it gives you this little player aid here. No, yeah, not that one.
I think these are very, very good because it can be quite difficult to get your head around it. But I think these explain it really well.
It's the padlocks that I think is very difficult to sort of get your head around because there are these 2 sort of key mechanics. One is the way in which the cards lay down on each other, and the other is the padlocks. And there doesn't seem. I mean, there's a thematic link, I suppose, between the card that unlocks the card. You know, but like the Glassblower is unlocked by the Alchemist, who is another Ore card, or a card in the Ore suit, and the Splunker is unlocked by the Chandler, who's a solitary card. The thing is, it's. I mean, you in the playthrough yourself find yourself getting a bit confused sometimes between the card that the Spelunker is played on top of and the card that unlocks him, which is not the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell from the game, never the same. And so the link between them does seem to be kind of abstract.
I mean, I can kind of get this.
And I think it can. I also think it's quite unintuitive, the way in which you have to think about the way in which you can pay yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the way. So it actually behooves you to build cards that put points onto the cards you've already built.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you have a lot of control about that. And that's because they're in the different suits. Because the way you can kind of control the draft, because you're either picking one of the face-up cards, where you have all the information about what you're taking, but you've got a limited pool of 6, and you can't really jump the queue, right? So you've just got to hope that the card you want
comes out.
It comes out,
And
or is
then
still
you
there.
can get it.
But you can, so if you're looking for wood cards, you can just, if there are none there, or the one you want isn't there, you can say, well, I can blind draw wood cards from the top, if there are any there. And even though you don't know what that information is, you have at least some agency over what you take. But the thing is, the cards that unlock the wood cards may not be wood cards, and then you have to just learn it. You know, like the Cooper being unlocked by the blacksmith. Well, the only hope I have of understanding that is knowing that a Cooper is someone who makes the steel rims that go around barrels in medieval time, and that the steel rims must be fashioned by a blacksmith.
Yeah.
You know, or I learned all of these interactions before I played the game.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like the Spelunker being linked to the Chandler abstractly makes sense because
Because
you
the
need a candle.
Splunker goes into the mines looking for rocks, and a Chandler makes wax. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's not an intuitive.
it's
leap.
not an intuitive system, and I don't really want to think about all that when I'm also playing this game.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I get that.
Don't get me wrong. Like it's a learning curve to it, but it is.
but then it's quite a simple game, you know, and so I'm like,
I don't
here's
think-
a very simple game that you can learn.
I think it's quite simple, and once you've done it once, I don't think it's that. I don't think it would be that difficult to remember, because there isn't that.
I think
it's very difficult to remember.
I think I agree with Michael on this one. Once you've played a full game, there is stuff that you struggle to remember the first time that you will know, and it will be a lot easier in your mind because
You're now familiar with it.
Yeah, you will remember either how it went wrong when you tried it the first time or how it went right.
But I'm talking specifically about the economic interactions of the padlocks.
Oh yeah, they're not.
Oh, yeah.
They're not
Remembering all of that. But that it's super important. Like, you get so many points out of it, and you can stand to gain a lot from it.
Yeah.
And the
There
interactions
is a lot
are...
of cards to try and remember all of that on.
Exactly, and the interactions are relatively... They're very thematic, but it means that they're not very... I don't know, it feels difficult to sort of incorporate that into a strategy. You know? It's like if I want to build these two grains people comboed with my wood people here, but actually, like that was kind of happenstance. I didn't really intend that. And I just kind of did it because it sort of worked out.
Because they were the cards that you had in your hand.
Yeah, they were the cards. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I really felt like I had a whole lot of agency over those interactions. You know, it was sort of making the best of the situation presented to me. But maybe that's the very nature of a drafting tableau building game like this.
That's how I would. I just don't. I didn't see it as too much a big of a issue.
Right,
Yeah.
but what I mean is in the end, like if I look at the tableau I've built, like I look at Ollie's tableau and I think...
It's all over the bloody place.
Well, no, but I think you must have got like a lot of satisfaction from that.
I did, to be
You know,
honest,
like
but-
from sort of pulling off all those combos.
Yeah, there was. I had a plan. It evolved as cards came out, but my basic plan was, I knew that these were scoring me money. I knew I wanted to get my food and my build up as quickly as possible. And the second I got the locksmith out, I was counting blacksmith stuff and counting locksmith stuff. And I was just like, right, how many of these can I get out? And to be honest, I was surprised that it came together as well as it did. I didn't expect it to be that big a lead on you guys.
Yeah, but you basically doubled Michael's score.
I know, but I didn't expect, when I was doing it, I didn't expect it to be that big a
Yeah,
difference.
but what I'm saying is I would feel a lot better if I could sort of like... Because I don't look at this tableau that I've built and go, this was the very satisfying strategy I pulled off. I'd actually hoped, because I had the log raft in my hand at the beginning, and that seems really good to get a point for every log. And I'd actually kind of hoped that I could do more with that, and then I just didn't have the opportunity.
No.
And then I had to just look at other stuff. You know? And I don't feel like there was a... I feel like I sort of made the best decisions in the moment, and it doesn't... I don't know, I guess that I'm not looking at this tableau and going, there is the satisfying strategy that I realized.
I mean, we are playing with all of the expansions, so it was a lot to throw at us. I think because they were fun to use. I liked the buildings. The special characters really helped out. So maybe it was just we've just gone with everything, and if you built it up a bit more,
but I'm wondering if you don't have the agency to really control.
Well, the starting road is the starting road, so it will always start in the same place, and then it's just what were you dealt in your hand, and what comes out of the draw.
Right, and that's entirely random.
I know, but it's random for everyone. I mean, there was
but what I'm saying is that the random assortment someone began with might lead them into an advantage on these three.
Yeah,
and that might just I'm not sure if the strategy of the game really gels with that kind of randomness. Does that make sense? It's the same reason why I prefer. This is for you hobby gamers out there that get this reference, but this is why I much prefer core set Machikaro to Machikaro with expansions. Where the marketplace is randomized. If you don't get that, I'm very sorry. But the problem with core set Machikaro is that it's solvable, but that's not the point. Maybe they're just maybe I just didn't use the blind draw well enough. But it doesn't feel like that would have really solved my issue, which was that I would have liked to be able to pursue some of these sort of chains further, but I didn't actually wind up. I only wound up with this 3 chain, and I didn't even plan that. That just happened. And then only because I whined when you tried to steal the wine trader.
Well, maybe. But it was also a bit of misunderstanding of what I could do with the wine trader. I would have just been a dick.
Which I would have totally... which I totally would have been absolutely okay with if I didn't sort of know that Ollie had really eclipsed my score. I mean, I'd like to play again. I quite enjoyed it. I feel like it's quite a sort of a light game.
This is what I like about it. I like it how it's light. I know you think it's quite confusing to learn and try
I think
and
the padlock system is overly confusing for what it does. I feel like there might have been a more elegant way to realize the same system.
Yeah. But I don't think... I think as a game itself, I think it's really quick.
To play?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it allows... I don't think it's that complicated enough that will prevent people from wanting to play it. I think it can be open to everybody.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, I sometimes get very nervous about introducing sort of like new players or players who are not hobby gamers to a game like this because I find it quite difficult to gauge how accessible they'll find it. Mm-hmm. But I think if you think that it's accessible, then it must be true.
Yeah. If Michael
I think I often underestimate sort of people who are new to board games as well because I want to play it safe. I don't want to put them off the hobby or scare them away. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's insurmountable. It's a big.
I do wish that there hadn't been such a massive score gap, though. It's not your fault, Holly. It's just obviously it's not your. It's not a criticism. It just makes me feel like there.
I know you have you dislike any scoring game where the gap between first, second, and third is that big.
No, I dislike it when I can't pinpoint why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously you've got all of these great combos that have all comboed off each other. You've got a lot of silver cards. Maybe I didn't get enough of the silver cards. I certainly didn't make the most use of the Alchemist. But I thought getting the Captain earlier would have put me in a really good stead. Then again, you had the Church Bank and Ox Crane 4 turns. I mean, you must have got like 30 or 40 points off of these.
Yeah. I mean, I think I only had the bank twice. Because you had it for most of the game.
But that's quite a lot.
The Church and the Ox Crane, definitely.
Yeah.
That was
So amazing. You were taking a lot of points out of that as well.
Yeah.
And also getting the
extra villagers and the extra build.
Mm-hmm.
That was very useful.
But I mean, I enjoyed building the tableau. I enjoyed the card drafting part, and I do think it is quite sort of the art is really fun.
Yeah,
I like all the artwork. The characters are all really fun. I like how it's all different. I like the characters are all different. That's really cool.
Yeah.
There's 2 more suits of cards that you don't use in the 3-player game, so there's going to be a lot more characters with 4 or 5.
Wool and leather
adds a lot of variation for larger play groups.
Yeah, and the way it's sort of like draft. I almost wish the build phase was build as well. Because if you're playing with 5, I feel like the draft round would be very quick and punchy. And then you get to the build phase, and then you got to wait for 4 people to build X number of cards.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that problem because there's just 3 of us, but I couldn't see that being a problem.
Yeah.
Especially if you had, for whatever reason, a low number of build symbols and someone else was running away with like
5.
full 5 and then they were building 5 cards every round to your 2 or 3, I can see that becoming demoralizing.
So when you just go for go to the kitchen for a snack, come back and see, is it my turn yet?
Oh no, it's still you.
Yeah, but I think if people are leaving to go get snacks during a game, I feel like that's not very good design.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they should have the snacks on the table.
Exactly.
Yes, right. They should have brought the snacks into the game room.
Yeah.
You know, and then put them next to a finger bowl with a moist towelette so people wouldn't get Cheeto dust on all the cards.
Ugh.
I agree with every point you've just made. Where are the snacks?
But
Oh no. I have no pop left.
But I love the wooden coins. I love the little magnet chest. This is magnetized. The components are really nice. And I gotta say, actually, the box is perfectly sized. I love that. And what I also like about it is it comes with dividers. So it's as far as the game production goes,
It's very good.
top notch.
Yeah.
So beautifully produced.
Love these.
The wooden coins are great, and they can be used with lots of different games. They're compatible. So I love that. And a lot of the decks of cards were in order, so that when you opened them up in the box, you could they were in order so you could find everything and just kind of start playing straight away. And I really appreciate those kinds of finer touches, you know? So it was a really, really put together package.
No,
I totally agree.
Yeah, totally agree.
It made learning it easy.
I love the fact that on opening the game, it's just, right, these cards with this symbol are the ones you need to use for the first, and they're all together.
They're all together right at the front of the deck you just opened.
You don't have to hunt for anything. They've gone, we're going to package this so it's minimal effort for you to set the game up to play.
Yeah, and that extra care and attention really means a lot. I think that really helps.
Like, knows your audience, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think they've gone hell for leather with the player aids, which is nice. Just player aids for everything, you know.
Which is great.
Which is great.
And I like these as well. They make me laugh.
Oh, the little wooden guys.
Yeah, the giant.
They're from the Kickstarter expansion. I don't know if this is pick upable later, but they're really cool. There's a first player card as well.
There is. I don't know what I did with it.
Going back in the box.
Oh, okay.
And I do like these objectives in theory.
Yeah.
I like variable objectives. I really like the ones that come in Age of Giants that you can add to King Domino. Much more than the actual giant tiles, but we're going to talk about that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, overall,
Giants.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I'd play it again.
I 100% would play it again.
I in two minds about whether I would definitely recommend going out and buying it before some other games if you didn't have a massive collection already. It feels like, because I mean, Imperial Settlers is one that comes to mind as a sort of drafting tableau building game that's very, very good, and also very light. It's actually, I think, much more approachable than this. And it's really nicely produced too. But I think it's also maybe the reason I go to Imperial Settlers and not the post-apocalyptic version of the same game, which is called
blah blah blah.
See the thing I put on the screen in editing.
So what you need to do is you need to move your mouth and add the sound later.
Yeah, I've forgotten the name. It's like Apocalypse.
Yeah, just do random mouth motions, and when you look it up later, you can put it on and be like, it's like, I mean, you'll be dubbing yourself. Dude, never ever star in a dubbed movie. That was terrifying.
Or do star in a dubbed comedy.
I know all 7 animals.
So, yeah, I mean, there's more player interaction in Imperial Settlers. You can destroy each other's cards quite easily. Thank you, Ollie. So I think Imperial Settlers is a lighter game that's actually meaner, whereas this, it's got a bit more strategy going on, but I think it's also, because it's heavier in strategy, the drafting and the random elements may make it more frustrating for very hobby gamers, but it also makes it more accessible, I think, for newer gamers, potentially.
I totally agree with that last statement. I think that's very succinctly well put.
We didn't do a lot of hate drafting in this, but there is a lot of scope for hate drafting if you know the cards very well. Yeah. And that may create issues when you're teaching new, but if you're teaching new people and trying to get them into the game, maybe don't hate draft.
Yeah, you know? That's a great way to annoy someone to not play a game with you ever again.
Yeah,
it's like, I had this great strategy and you blocked me every step of the way.
But I want to play again to see if I can have great strategies and actually realize them.
I believe in you.
Well, I thought I had good strategies in this, but
That's why I believe in you, because I've seen your great strategies before. They're terrifying when they go off.
yeah. But what I mean is like, is it going to be is it a lottery? Is it too much of a lottery?
I mean, I'm so tempted to just point at you and go, it could be you. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. We'd have to replay to see.
We'd have to play a bunch more. Yeah, so I hope this has been sort of a helpful rundown for you guys. I feel like I'm a little less enthusiastic than I necessarily want to be about this.
I will take your enthusiasm then, because I like it. Oh dear, that might be an indicator for everybody out there anyway. Michael likes it.
What about you, Ollie?
I like it. I would play it again.
I would go back to my special village. It was a nice place.
Special village. So, thank you very much for coming on this villager's journey with us. We've had a great time, and we'll be back tomorrow for an entirely different adventure. And I hope you'll come and join us for that as well. And if you don't want to miss it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Or if you're excited to see what's coming in the future, please do subscribe, because that helps us out.
Yeah.
And it helps continue to make more content like
Leave some
this.
comments about what you'd like to see as well. And we may film it.
We do what we can.
We do look at all the comments. So
We do what we must because we can.
see you guys soon.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
Bye.